felt very corporate to me. I mean, I don't work at that type of company now, but I have, where the people just, the upper leadership don't think about the context of what they're saying to you, and they just give these speeches and you go, okay.
Well, like if you're the line guy and all you do is put 8 studs in these 2 panels when the car frame rolls up to you, and he's saying, any of you have a good idea, come to my office, and if you don't come back.
Yeah.
It seemed a little I feel like he should have been saying that to his room of 15 engineers.
Do you think they set that scene up just to make him seem larger than life? Kind of to build that about him?
Didn't feel that way to me, I'll tell you that much.
I have literally heard that speech before.
Oh, got it. Yeah, because I'm like I've never really done a corporate
job. Where
job.
they've given everyone a coin, no matter what their job is, and said, you need to put this on our desk by the end of the day and give us ideas.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh.
And they think that's very rallying, even though it's more angering and defeating.
I don't like
you hold on now. Does he really want 246 line factory workers to come to his desk in the next week with an idea?
He probably thinks he does.
Yeah, then he immediately regrets it. I didn't make that speech.
What was your reaction, though? Because that's mine. I liked the scene, but when I reflected on it 10 seconds later, I already was a little mixed about it.
I guess I'm just more impressed with how they did it. They got an abandoned factory. They bought 30 of those old school cars.
Production level.
Yeah. And I mean, the speech is cool. I think it establishes him as like larger than life, but it's probably not in my top 70 moments of this film, which would be easy. I could do top 70 right now. But I guess it's more impressive because to film this, they got a warehouse, 30 cars, built an entire set, lit it with age-appropriate lights. They built an entire grid outside to light it. I mean, that's a very expensive scene for that moment.
Oh, yeah, it's crazy.
So I wonder if, like...
Oh, and then the sound guy, how they decided what psychologically constitute a powerful man's sound step.
So you gotta hear this, John. They did, like, a leather shoe on wood. They did another shoe on concrete. But then they decided on leather on steel. So when he's walking, it sounds like he's walking on, like, a steel walkway, but there's no steel there.
It just sounded more powerful when he steps.
So they made his steps sound more powerful.
Huh. Okay.
I mean, they won the Oscar for sound editing. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, I didn't think the speech... I guess the speech is impressive in the fact that I rolled my eyes at it because it felt familiar and authentic. And how did a bunch of writers come up with that?
Yeah, some guy sitting there. I've never worked a corporate job, but this feels right.
It feels patronizing and weird. Let's use it.
But then, I mean, are there other highlights from this movie that we haven't covered yet?
Oh, almost. Okay. Yes. When we're first meeting Ken's persona off the track, he's working in his garage, and that, I guess he's a school teacher, comes in with his souped up sports car, and he's trying to explain to the guy. He's like, yeah, I need it to be like it was before. He's like, no, you got to drive that car. You got to drive it hard. You got to shift. You got to punch it in, this, that, and the other. He's like, are you saying I don't know how to drive my car? He's like, no, I'm not saying that. But I think your car is an Impala.
Yeah, he's like, that's not your car.
Yeah. He really, he's not a good mechanic. He's like, are you going to fix my car?
I wrote that down, that there were great character introductions.
Yeah. He's just this kind of brat.
And then he's talking all sassy to his wife, and you don't quite know that it's his wife yet, and his son is smirking.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that kid's a good actor.
But again, with the good tonal shifts, he's arguing with that guy. It's obviously a thing that he does. And then he gets all playful with this woman who comes up there. It's just great shifts in tone throughout one scene.
Doesn't his mug say best mechanic, world's best mechanic?
I don't remember.
Oh, okay.
You know, on that same tone, we mentioned this scene, but the build up to the scene is he just won a race. He's carrying his sleeping son who's gripping the first place trophy.
Yeah.
Molly opens the door, but then it turned into the talk of, are we totally buggered financially? The IRS came to the garage, and then it was that porch scene. So again, another nice transition. We went from winning the race and that nice warm scene of him walking his sleeping. Again, the son asleep in his arms, clutching to the trophy. So cute.
Yeah. And then later his speech when the kid drew out the racetrack on Le Mans, how complimentary he was of it.
Mm-hmm.
He's like, man, you're an artist. Yeah.
And he did it on the inside of a cereal box that was all folded out. Such a good touch.
Yeah, you showed me that. That's good production design. And I also like the slideshow that Iacocca does. Because he shows
I wrote rude slideshow.
Yeah, right? And then, because he kind of starts laying into Ford about saying it's not cool. And he shows the picture of Bond driving the Aston Martin. And this is pretty interesting because Dr. No came out in 1962. And that movie, so I don't know, I teach this to my students as far as production design and all that, but this movie they went to actual locations. They had a spy who had a license to kill where a guy shot at him, missed, Bond didn't have to kill him, but Bond just kills him. So he's like wooing all these women, he's kind of doing this lifestyle, and those movies were massive in the States, and he drove that Aston Martin. So the kind of definition of what's cool in 1962 changed a little bit, at least to some people around the world. So when he's talking about Bond, when he's talking about winning this race and Ferrari being cool, that was a relevant speech, and I wonder if Iacocca did that. But I don't know, that made sense to me because, they were trying to rebrand to be cool. Like, we're not the Impala. Like, that's when the Mustang came out. They got involved with Shelby. I don't know, I thought that was pretty neat history wedged into that slideshow. And also some sassy talking.
I love this slideshow because I'm sure we all had grandparents who had those slides. Who didn't sit through some vacation slideshow in their youth when the stupid thing skipped or didn't work or got stuck?
No, I swear, that was my opinion of the slideshow when I was watching it is, how is this thing not jamming? he sometimes, because, okay, there were times where he went through 2 slides in 2 seconds when he was like, boom, and then boom. And when you do that to that old slide, it's like using a typewriter and hitting 2 buttons at once. Sometimes they get stuck.
Yeah.
Like I really, in middle school, people for me were still using those when they were the older folks who didn't like the overhead projector with the transparent stencil thing.
Yeah. Oh my gosh!
Right, we have young listeners who are like, "What are you guys talking about?"
I had those all the way through high school, maybe even college.
Oh yeah. And if the bulb didn't work, hey, but how great is it that almost 60 years ago, salespeople were still doggedly adamant about using their slides as they are today?
Oh yeah, Google Slides.
Or PowerPoint.
People
Every
love
salesperson I work with is obsessed
with PowerPoint. Gotta have
PowerPoint.
visuals. You gotta have good visuals. So.
Gotta have slides.
You gotta take them on a mental journey.
But no, I don't know. Ferrari uses them. He doesn't take care. Like, Iacocca loses. I felt bad when John Barenthal didn't get the job. Man, and when the scene where in 1964 when they wouldn't bring 10 miles.
I would fly to Italy just to drink cappuccino there, even if I got told no.
Ken Miles brings wife in a picnic so they can listen to the race together.
Oh, that was so nice.
But yeah, I just love this movie. So I mean, I don't know. That's where I'm at. John, any final thoughts about this flick? Or got anything else you want to talk about?
Not really. Most of these movies I usually have a pretty pithy final thought. But again, mine just comes back to you don't watch this because you're looking for an exciting racing movie. You watch this to see great actors acting great scenes, and there just happens to be a plot line about racing. I mean, it seems like the opposite of what you'd expect from a race movie, but that's what this is. And it does an awesome job of it. A river runs through it of race movies.
Do you think that's why it's kind of a 4-quadrant movie? So, Megan's coworker I'm not saying all 13, 16-year-old, 19-year-old girls don't want to watch this movie, but they went into it not wanting to see it and then they loved it. Do you think that part of that reason why is because of the characters and that, like, yeah. So it's not all about racing. Like, it's not for gearheads.
But I mean, when my dad took me to see A River Runs Through It, I was 10, and I didn't even understand most of it, and I don't remember hating that movie. I remember having a good time with my dad in theaters. Then later, that became one of my favorite movies that I ever watched regularly with my dad. Yeah. And that is one of the last kinds of movies that I go out of my way to watch.
It's a good flick.
And, so this is more exciting than that, but not necessarily by a lot. This is again, it's an understated. I'm not going to call it the remains of the day of racing movies. It's not that dry Oscar ish, but yeah, no, it's an interesting animal. Great act. I just love hungover Carroll Shelby though, like, coughing. He's got a hangover cough. You'd almost think that he was a smoker too, but no, he was just that hungover.
I love that. Final thoughts, Meg?
I would say this movie is finer than Frog Fur.
Oh yeah.
Oh,
I love
when
that
he said that line, I almost went cross-eyed. Like, what is he talking?
Yeah, Meg researched it, and we're like, oh. I just gotta say that.
What did you research?
No,
the expression.
Yeah.
Just people using it because Yeah, I guess it's an older expression that's not used very often, but if a frog, I suppose, was to have some sort of filament on it, it would be extremely fine. So that means it's very, very good or high quality or just, finer than frog fur.
I suppose it would be.
And I gotta say that wrench bit at the end when he gave the wrench to the
Oh
son.
my gosh.
That got, I got
when the kid
hit.
goes, I remember that wrench.
Yeah, that hit me hard. That was a good moment right there, so I dug it. But this is fun, John. Thanks for joining us again, man. This was good.
Now, is lap 5 of the race pod, is that going to be Death Race, as I recall by your suggestion?
I mean, other legit racing movies?
I mean, is Talladega Nights a legit racing movie?
No, I mean, the problem with comedies, I just see myself reeling off all the funny bits. Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, there's not a good emotional takeaway.
What about the art of racing in the rain?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, you wanted to do Speed Racer.
Oh, yeah.
You've mentioned to me Speed Racer and Death Race.
So which one do you want to do first?
I can do either of them.
Oh, man. Let me think about it over the night, because this is tough.
Because they're both, now we're going into stylized genre films from action dramas.
Well, here's the deal. Speed Racer, I know for a fact, doesn't have any commentaries. Mm-hmm. So
Mark, that's our job.
Yeah, exactly. And Senna, that's a great talk. But yeah, but I know Death Race, Anderson always loads up his DVD, so it'll take me longer to, or Need for Speed.
You do want to cover his whole filmography. I know that's a penchant.
But I think we should do Speed Racer because there's not the Blu-ray is not as loaded as the Death Race. So I want to absorb the Death Race DVD, and that'll take more. Does that make sense?
Sure.
All right, so Speed Racer's our next one?
Speed Racer. That will be lap 5.
Oh, man, Speed Racer, lap 5. That's going to be fun.
What about Herbie and the Love Bug?
And Megan loves Need for Speed.
I refuse to do that. I'm not doing that. I absolutely am not doing that. You guys do that without me.
Megan loves Need for Speed. I know that. So that's good. We'll do Speed Racer next. That sounds great. So, any final thoughts, Megan?
Matt Damon has some really awesome sunglasses, and you can Google Matt Damon sunglasses Ford versus Ferrari, and it will come up with them. People have found them. They're about $255, but probably worth it.
Send them to us. John, last final thought?
Another final? No,
yeah,
I got
nothing. You got nothing? All right. So, but thanks. So, for me, Mark Hoffmeyer, for John Levengood, for Megan Hoffmeyer, and for Wrench Fighting, this is Movies, Films, and Flicks. We'll see you next week.